Minister of Transportation and Communications, Adoke. Ministers and representatives of the Kurdistan region, government, Your Excellencies, US Iraq Business Council President Steve Lutz, a warm welcome to you, your US Chamber of Commerce colleagues, and each of the companies in this historic delegation. And by warm, I'm not just talking about the weather. We have been preparing for Farm to Fork for months, and we're excited that you finally have arrived. My friend and colleague, Dodi Abazed, President of the American Chamber of Commerce, Kurdistan, thanks to you and the entire AmCham team for all you've done to co-host this wonderful reception with us. AmCham is a force multiplier for the important work of strengthening U.S. IKR trade and investment ties. Thanks as well to the many AmCham members here tonight. I want to particularly thank those who sponsored this event. As Dory mentioned, your generosity further highlighted the strong and growing U.S. IKR economic partnership. Finally, let me thank our friends from the Iraqi Kurdistan region, both government and private sector, for coming tonight. The regional chambers of commerce and industry are strongly represented, as are many others. I'd also like to take a moment to thank my colleagues at the U.S. Consulate, particularly Economic Chief Heath Bailey, as well as Dr. Dara, as well as DPO Bell, and our country team that has allowed and enabled this visit to take place. Congratulations. So Steve, to you, particularly Steve, if there's any proof that this region is ready for deeper partnership with U.S. firms, I don't know what that is. Many of you have heard me speak about the importance we at the U.S. Consulate place on promoting economic partnerships between the American and the IKR business communities. You've heard the ambassador highlight these issues. You've seen our tweets. Certainly. You've seen our tweets and Facebook posts. I won't take too much time repeating those words tonight. The longer I'm here in the IKR, the more I'm convinced that the private sector holds the greatest promise for improving the lives of the people throughout the IKR. We spend so much time focused on political matters, tensions between political parties, tensions with Baghdad, the budget, elections. These matters are important, of course, but they're important precisely for the impact that they have on the stability of the region, the investment climate, the ability of ordinary people to live and work in freedom and security, to start companies, create jobs, innovate, and bring prosperity. We all want to get back to talking more about these important issues, to seeking partnerships that will lead to mutual prosperity and celebration of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. This Farm to Fork delegation is a great reason to do that, and the consulate team and I look forward to the program over the next several days. Speaking of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, tomorrow, June 19th, we Americans celebrate the second annual federal holiday of Juneteenth, which commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. On January 1st, 1863, President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation to abolish slavery. Yet, with the Civil War still raging, it wasn't until 2.5 years later, on June 19th, 1865, that his notice of freedom was received across our country. Since then, Juneteenth has come to mark not only the effective end of slavery of African Americans in the United States, but the reality that freedom and justice have been delayed for far too many. And Juneteenth reminds us of our responsibility to tackle the barriers to full equity and justice, not only for African Americans, but for all people. In the same spirit, respect for fundamental human rights is a key pillar for the U.S. investment community. Rule of law, freedom of the press, gender equality, the right to fair and equal treatment, and standards of transparency and openness are essential elements to promote a favorable and inviting investment climate. These values are not just important for strong democracies, but essential for strong economies. American investors value the innovation and creativity that flourish in societies that are inclusive, diverse, and respectful of differences. The United States remains committed to these principles. That is why you will always hear us advocating for the protection of human rights alongside our advocacy for a stronger, transparent, and more competitive business environment. In conclusion, thank you again to the U.S. Iraq Business Council, AmCham Kurdistan, our private sector sponsors, our guests from the U.S. business community, and all of you for attending this evening's welcome reception and for supporting the promotion of U.S. trade and investment in the IKR. I look forward to chatting with all of you throughout this evening. Zora Spas.